up?
What's
How
up,
are you?
man? Good.
So, having this big Counter-Strike tournament in town, does that give you the Joneses?
Totally. You know, it's like your guy Jason was telling me about it because you know, in addition to driving, he also flies the helicopter, and he told me like the Red Bull guys were like flying off, and there's like this big tournament. I looked it up. It was like, oh, Counter-Strike. So I used to be a bit of a pro player myself.
So, how do you get out of pro playing? Because the problem with like playing games is that it's essentially like an 8-hour-a-day thing. Like it becomes a giant chunk of your life, right? And I would imagine if you're playing pro, it's even more of a commitment.
You know, I take a different view on games. You know, a lot of people kind of view it as a sort of somehow like a negative thing, especially for kids. Actually, I got my 4-year-old like a Nintendo Switch early on. We're playing together because I feel like for me it helped me a lot with like strategy thinking, with reaction time. Mm-hmm. I think like gamers tend to think really fast. Sure. And
have you seen the studies that they've done about surgeons?
No, tell me.
Surgeons that play video games regularly are much less likely to make mistakes.
Well, I totally believe it, yeah.
Something in the neighborhood of 25%. Is that what it is, Jamie? Something like that? But so much so that I would say you should teach video games to 100%. Surgeons. Like it should actually be like a required thing, like cross-training.
Right. Isn't the Army also recruiting from gamers today as well? That's what I heard.
Imagine like drone pilots, right? I mean, that would make a big difference.
Yeah.
Especially if you can get them used to like the same controllers.
Totally.
You know, because you know those controllers kind of become a part of your hand. Like you know exactly where all the buttons are. And
right.
If you're a kid that's playing fucking Counter-Strike or whatever it is, Call of Duty every day.
Totally.
I would imagine that just becomes
dexterity.
Second nature.
Yeah. You know,
what is the thing with surgeons? It's nuts, right? It might be higher than 25%.
It was a very particular kind of surgery though too, but it was like, I mean, they're almost using controllers.
Yeah, but that they were making less mistakes. I don't think it's entirely negative, because I love games. I love playing them, but I love them so much that I don't play them because I know I don't have any time.
Quake is your favorite game, right?
Yeah. So here, 37% decrease in errors.
That's wild.
27% faster task completion time. That's nuts.
And so those guys grew up playing video game, or did they get them on video games?
It says more than 3 hours per week.
I think they were still playing when they were doing the study.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So like that, I mean, imagine something that like a pill you could take that would give you a 37% decrease in errors and a 27% faster task completion. Right. That would be an incredible pill.
Yeah.
Like you would make every surgeon take it. Did you take your video game pill before you do surgery? Hey man, don't operate on my fucking brain unless you take your video game pill.
You know, that's you know, next time I need to have a surgery or whatever, I'm just gonna ask the doctor if they're a gamer.
How much do you game, bro?
But you know, Jamie and I were talking about the one thing, and maybe that's kind of showing our age a little bit, but the one thing that's kind of like a little weird / I don't know, somehow like a little dystopian is the whole streaming situation where like kids are not like playing the game, they're like watching someone play the game.
Yeah, it's not good.
And it's like this zombifying thing where like they'll spend hours just watching people.
Yeah, just TikToking. It's essentially like TikTok, but video games, right? Because TikTok is kind of this mindless thing. You're just scrolling through mindless things. And now you're mindlessly watching someone else play a game.
Yeah. It's almost like someone is like there's this strange thing with technology where like someone is living life and doing things, and you're like sort of it's almost voyeurism or something like that about it. You know, David Foster Wallace, you know, the guy from Infinite Jest, wrote a essay on TVs, and you know he committed suicide before like, you know, the emergence of mobile phones and things like that. But he was very prescient on the impact of technology on society, and especially on America. And he was also like addicted to TV, and he talked about how, you know, it activates some kind of something in us that is you know, something in human nature about voyeurism. And that's the thing that television and TikTok and things like that activate, and it's like this negative, addictive kind of behavior that's like really bad for society.
I definitely think there's an aspect of voyeurism, but there's just a dull drone of attention draw. There's a dullness to it that just like sucks you in, like slack-jawed. It is watching nonsense over and over and over again. That does just enough to captivate your attention.
Yeah.
But doesn't excite you, doesn't stimulate you,
Yeah.
doesn't necessarily inspire you to do anything. That is the first fly we've ever had in this room.
Boom.
Oh, I was gonna kill it. You're a nice person.
Yeah.
That's like, evil people would have killed that fly right away. But it's just this thing where it doesn't do a lot. It's not like, like, have you ever done Disney World?
Yeah.
Did you ever do Disney World in Florida where you do that? There's the Avatar ride.
No, I just went to a California one.
Okay.
Yeah.
The Avatar ride is Flights of Freedom. Flights of Passage.
Mm-hmm.
It's a VR game.
Mm-hmm.
A ride rather, and you put on a VR helmet and you get on this like motorcycle looking thing and you're essentially riding a dragon. It's unbelievably engaging.
Wow.
It's incredible. It's the best ride I've ever been on in my life.
Yeah, that's cool.
Like you're flying around, you feel the breeze, you're on this thing and the sounds are incredible. That's like engrossing, right? Like it
Yes.
takes over you.
Stimulating,
Right.
yeah.
But that's not what you're getting from like TikTok or like
Right.
streaming. You're getting this
Right.
this dull, so it's sustainable.
Yeah, I wonder which is worse, this or like opium habit or something.
I know people that have done opium that are like functional.
Yeah?
They can take pills and like kind of. I mean, I'm sure eventually their life falls off the rails, but it's like sort of they're semi-functional when they're on these things. They can hold down a job and show up every day, and they're
Yeah.
just like semi-functional opiate.
There's a
Addicted.
dude, I watched like a YouTube